morning. Welcome to a funky Friday on the Morning Night Live. Yes, I know the music's loud. I'll turn it down a little bit. Hope you're having a good Friday. Hope you got a good long weekend planned. Well, if you're in the States, that is, because pretty much everyone has Monday off in the United States tomorrow, or this weekend, I mean, because of Memorial Day, when we honor those who served and passed either in service or post-service. Either way, we memorialize those who gave the ultimate sacrifice or sacrifice for their country. That's what you do in this country. I know that a lot of different countries have a day like that, and Monday is ours. Our American Memorial Day, always the last Monday in May, and that would be this weekend. So, in honor of Memorial Day, Lady Boomer and I are going to drive 8 hours and go hang out on an island up in Lake Huron in the Great Lakes of the United States. It's amazing. If you've never been to the Great Lakes, they really look like oceans. I mean, they're huge. Can't see from one side to the other in most places, at least without special devices or a special elevation. And so that's what we're going to do this weekend. We're going to go check out someplace we've never been, Mackinac Island near the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and go to, it's kind of at the tip there, just the tip of what is the main Michigan and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So we're excited about that. But we should probably talk about some other news today instead of what I'm doing my weekend. But I hope you have some great plans. And, we'll let's get into it. So, like we normally do, before we get into it, I got an intro to play. Johnny, would you please play the intro?
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only P-Dog Knight.
Well. Shall we get this thing started? Yes, we shall. Stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Knight on the internet. Welcome back to the P-Dog Knight channel on this Friday, the 26th of May, 2023. Memorial Day weekend. Looking forward to our little trip. It's just we're doing we thought we were, we're gonna, how we do vacation stuff on the weekends. We thought, let's go do something a little more cool. And we actually planned this a while back. But we're gonna stop randomly along the way. If we see a brown sign, sometimes we just stop for brown signs. You get to know a lot about your country just by stopping at the brown signs, whether it's a historical marker or a cool place that the state you're driving through thinks is cool. We tend to do that. And why no one does everyone do nightcations? Well, this one's going to be at night because we're going to start at 3 a.m. So that'll be a nightcation, I guess. Anyway, we're looking forward to that. But like I said, we got to get into some news, some breaking news this morning. So we'll talk about that as soon as I say hi to everybody. First in chat over on Rumble would be our friend Jimmy Das Hotep. Gets the bell. Get the bell of glory. Also, good morning, Advocates Diabli. And Sully209 and Mike Savage, Blarg, and whoever else is over there. I know someone else is over there. There's got to be one other person at least. On YouTube, first in chat today was, let's see who. Oh, it's Somnambule Nation. Yes. Thank you for being Johnny on the spot. Also, thank you for sharing the show this morning. I see you already did that. Please share the show. Get people over here. And Sarah too. And who else did? Jimmy Das Hotep. And who's this? Whose icon is that? Oh, that's Sarah's icon. Duh. And Tyler F. Thank you for doing that ahead of me asking. I greatly appreciate it. Also, good morning, Tyrannus Alexandrius, the Invectus Lich. Good morning. Jimmy Das Hotep's also on YouTube. Avocados Diablo, yes, also. And Renee Mayette, hello. Septus Wolf, good morning. Who else is over here? My favorite Canadian, Niagara Ponies in the house. Good hello. Also, I said Sarah. Tyler F, yes. Those Ain't Real Dude, good morning. Mike Savage, Blarg. GDSOB, what's up? Attack Alpaca, what's up? Who else? Rolling on the river, as Tina would say. May she rest in peace. I beat Avocados Diablo to the bell. Actually, I get concerned about his well-being. Oh, yeah, I was worried for a second. Someone beat you on both sides of the planet here, but you're here, so that's good. So let's talk about what's the big news that probably you're going to be hearing all morning. But I'm not even positive it's real. You know, Those Ain't Real Dude is a proper sentiment right now. Those Ain't Real Dude, that's the name of someone in the chat. But I don't know if this is real or not. So supposedly there is a debt ceiling deal. Now, look, I've been around the block a few times, right? And these debt ceiling brinkmanship games. Good morning, Rotten Corpse. How you doing? These debt deal brinkmanship games happen every few years or every so often. It always seems like, whichever party does not have the presidency, it always seems like suddenly they become the fiscally responsible party. When in reality, I think both the parties suck a little bit at it. I mean, Democrats more because they want more stupid shit. But I don't know that either party's necessarily that fiscally responsible because look, what's hilarious too, I listen to or I watch some of the Zoomers and even some of the millennials when they converse online. And a lot of them are like, yeah, you boomers put us $50 billion and $1,067,000 in debt, and we all owe $250,000 for every man, woman, and child in the United States just because of you greedy boomers, right? I didn't vote for any of this shit. I guarantee you, I did not vote for any of this shit. You know what? I'd be happy if if our government would keep the interstates working, right? And TSA, that's surely valid because you're flying across the country and stuff. I don't think they need to be in our education. I think the states can all decide how they're going to deal with education, probably would do it better. I think all the states probably don't need, look, we have so many agencies, so many redundancies in our federal government that aren't necessary. Maybe we should just cut the size of our damn government and spend less. But no. See, people in power like to keep that power, and they like to dole out little goodies to everyone to keep themselves in power so they can go back to their, especially in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I mean, it was really bad. They would, our congressman would come back, well, we got this project for us from the federal government. We got this project from us from the federal government. We got you. We brought you this money, and now we're going to take care of everybody, and we're going to do this. We're good people, and because we're good people, we're going to give more people money. And the more people money we give to them, they'll vote for us even more, and we're doing goodies, right? Hello, government, stop doling out the goodies. I guarantee you, some of the stupid shit that you pay for at the federal level of government, I guarantee, and I didn't mean to say gay, but guarantee that somebody would do that without you, okay? Some of the research for some stuff, they do research on why this kind of frog has this kind of, dye when it dumps in the water, and they got to, how the sexual, proliferation of crickets and all kinds of stupid shit that they spend money on that you go, no, stop it. Stop. Just, that Michael Jordan meme. Stop it. Whatever, however he says it. So anyway, good morning, Maddie, by the way. I see Maddie here. There we go. And also, who else showed up? Trippy Liberty's in the house. Nice to see you. Jason Who, what up? Nice to see you. All right. So anyway, there's a, so I pulled up just debt ceiling deal as a search term on Twitter just to see what was on there right now. And this pops up. Now there's a Twitter Spaces going on. It says breaking. Oh, well, it said breaking because now it's gone. Breaking debt deal, something has happened, right? So it depends on who you ask. There are people who are saying that there's a debt deal. So let's go to Reuters first. McCarthy, this is from an hour ago, updated. Biden and McCarthy looking to close U.S. debt ceiling deal for 2 years. So apparently they have some terms that they're going to try to take back to wherever they got it. Well, the White House doesn't have to. They got to take it back to the House and then the Senate, who hasn't really been in this conversation at all. Hello, Brent Hayes. What up? Stop. Get help. Yes, that one. Hello, Balin Bobby too. So here's the Reuters. The White House and congressional Republicans on Friday aim to put the final touches on a deal to raise the U.S. government's $31.4 trillion with a T debt ceiling for 2 years while capping spending on everything but military and veterans. Okay, let's start capping spending on everything but military and veterans. And now that's a lie, because I guarantee you that they're not capping any of the non-discretionary spending. Okay. So I think they mean discretionary spending. But anyway, negotiators for Democratic President Joe Biden and the House Representative Speaker Kevin McCarthy appeared to be nearing a deal as the two sides reached an agreement on key issues such as spending caps and funding for the Internal Revenue Service. Oh, great! And the military. However, items including work requirements for recipients of federal aid were still holding up the deal, the official said. Failure by Congress to raise its self-imposed debt ceiling in the coming week could trigger a default that would shake financial markets and send the United States into a deep recession. Now, would it? Now, that's interesting, because here's the problem. They keep saying that, but you know that non-discretionary spending still has to go on. It's not like they stopped the non-discretionary spending. They can't cap non-discretionary spending. All that adjusts based on the economy, which means it always increases. Yes, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, people aren't going to get their Social Security checks. People aren't going to get their welfare payments. People aren't going to get their food stamp. No, they say will. See, that's kind of built into those things, right? Hello, Simon Wolfwood. Anyway, the deal under consideration would increase funding for discretionary spending on military. Oh, so just the discretionary spending, not the mandatory spending of military and veterans, while essentially holding non-defense discretionary spending at current year levels. Well, whoop-de-doo. They're going to freeze some discretionary spending. Yay. They need to get in there with fine-tooth comb and start cutting some shit out. There's some shit we just don't need, and they won't do it because that's how government works. Once you spend something on something, you can never end it. Hello, Nomad.
Stop. Hammer time.
And tall person too. How you doing? So, let's see. Oh, this was from an official who requested anonymity because they are not authorized to speak about internal discussions. The 2-year extension would mean Congress would not need to address the limit again until after the 2024 presidential election. Well, that's pretty convenient that they will just kick the can down the road for the next president, because both sides are hoping that they will win their little section of the world and they can do whatever the fuck they want when that happens. So we'll see what happens. So the Defense and Veteran Affairs funding matches Biden's budget released earlier this year, a second U.S. official said. The agreement would leave many details to be sorted out in the weeks and months ahead. Each will have to persuade enough members of their party in the narrowly divided Congress to vote for any eventual deal. No small feat. With far-right Republicans saying they wouldn't back any deal without sweeping spending cuts, and progressive Democrats resisting the new work requirements on anti-poverty programs. No, they're not anti-poverty programs. They are poverty programs, because what they do is take people who are who aren't working because of whatever reason, and it keeps them in poverty in perpetuity, because sometimes it's easier just to take the anti-poverty program money. Hello, this is Kyle. What's happening? I haven't seen This Is Kyle forever. What's up, dude? Nice to have you drop it in. So anyway, so let's I want to look around the globe here, or at least the map of Twitter and things like that, and see how how people are reacting to this. Now, here is President Biden. I believe this is yesterday. And top congressional Republican Kevin McCarthy appear to be renewing a deal to raise the debt ceiling. So here's this the Reuters little video they put together. Let's watch this.
Speaker McCarthy and I have had several productive conversations.
U.S. President Joe Biden on Thursday said he and top congressional Republican Kevin McCarthy were closer to a deal to cut spending and raise the government's $31.4 trillion debt ceiling.
Hold on. Stop. Can we go back for a second? Do you mind if I go back? I just want to show you something.
We're close.
Do you see this? Do you see this area? Do you see? Look at this picture. It kind of looks like an insurrection, doesn't it? Look at all those people taking pictures. That's what January. Okay, I'm sorry. It looks like an insurrection. I'm just saying. Does that not look like an insurrection to you? Look at those people milling around and taking pictures and looking at things and walking around. Oh my goodness, it looks just like the insurrection on January 6th, the worst attack on U.S. democracy since, I guess, the Civil War. Anyway.
With little time to spare to head off a default that could devastate the economy. Speaking at a White House event, the Democratic president said Republicans are pushing for steep cuts.
Yes. Well, yeah, right. Good. I want them to. Okay, sorry. I got a little excited there. Wait, real quick. Thank you, tall person over on Rumble, who says, I'm sorry. Let's hang on. We got to celebrate. I'll come back to this debt ceiling thing in a second, but this is important because we have to commemorate some very special days. What the special day of today is. So, tall person, thank you for dropping a deuce in the tip jar. I will clean that up later. Today is both National Blueberry Cheesecake Day. Oh, yes. And it's also National Cherry Dessert Day. Fantastic. Whoops. I don't know why that seems so ominous, but let's have a poll on behalf of that, because a tall person asked the question. So let's ask the question in the poll. Which side are you on? What side? Actually, it should be what dessert, not what side. But anyway, what side are you on? What are the choices here? National Blueberry Cheesecake. I can't type. Day. Or National Cherry Dessert. 2 S's. ERT Day. Okay, there's your choices. Are you on Blueberry Cheesecake Day or National Cherry Dessert Day? Now it kind of cheats there, because the Blueberry Cheesecake Day is far more specific than National Cherry Dessert Day. So, because, look, it's blueberry cheesecake, or you could be doing cherry cobbler. You could be doing cherry ice cream, cherry compote over ice cream. You could be doing cherry pie. She's my cherry pie. Who sang that song? Was that not Winger? No, it was Warrant. No, not Warrant. Who did the song Cherry Pie? That 80s hairband classic. Okay, Sully, how you doing? Barry and Cherry Berry and cherry. Berry and cherry, berry and berry. Okay, so you can warrant. Was it warrant? I wasn't sure. Okay, let's finish this. That was really weird aside there. But thank you, Tall Person, for sponsoring the show. Yeah, we're sponsoring the show so I can get some gas money this weekend. Because it's going to be the price of gas over Memorial Day weekend tends to go up a little crazy. So feel free to hit the what is it, the thing over there, p.night.live. Okay, so
increase wait times for Social Security claims and decrease the number of teachers, police, and Border Patrol agents.
Whoa. Now, see, this is that fear-mongering bullshit that they do whenever they talk about the debt ceiling. Well, if we don't raise the debt ceiling to what I want it to be, we're going to stop. We're not going to have any more police to protect you in the streets of New York City, which they don't do anyway. We're not going to have Border Patrol. We're not going to be able to do any. Your mom's not going to get Social Security. They're going to roll your mom on her wheelchair off a cliff. And they're going to kill all the veterans. That's usually how it works when they start fighting about this. That's what the Democrats do, because that's what they do.
And Border Patrol agents.
I don't believe the whole burden should fall on the backs of middle class and working class Americans.
Oh, and then they say, it shouldn't be on the burden of middle class, working class Americans. Look, remember that the 90% of all taxes are paid by the top 10% income. So it's not the burden on all the middle class and lower class and blah, 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 working class. See, pretending, because those are the most people, but they're not the one getting the burden. And frankly, it's bullshit. So anyway.
My House Republican friends disagree.
A deal would only set broad spending outlines, leaving lawmakers.
Mitch looked like he's dead. Holy shit. Look at Mitch. He looks terrible. Anyway.
To fill in the blanks in the weeks and months to come.
Chuck, the smarmy prick from New York was in the picture too.
Will still have to pass the Republican-controlled House of Representatives and the Democratic-controlled Senate.
Wait, he distinctly said, wait, what did he say? Hang on a second. Let's see what Biden said here. Did he just... Let's see what Biden said. I didn't hear it.
I don't believe the whole burden should fall on the backs of middle class and working class Americans. My House Republican friends disagree.
Yeah, he kind of did say that, didn't he? Hi, Rusty Shack. Welcome back. Okay, is there anything else in here important?
Controlled Senate. That could prove a challenge, as some right-wing Republicans and many liberal Democrats have said they were unhappy with the prospect of compromise. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre.
Latrine is in the house.
We know this vote will require, again, Democrats and Republican votes, which means that when these negotiations happen, both sides have to understand that neither side is going to get everything that they want.
A U.S. default.
Well, at least they realize neither side's going to get what they want. Blah, 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 blah.
Could upend global financial markets, push the U.S. into recession.
It's so funny how every few years when they do this, they raise the debt ceiling, and the U.S. default would cause a recession and raise global inflation, this and that, blah, 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 blah. They've never not done it. They've always done it. I'm just curious, does the continuing piling on of debt for infinitum, whatever, how's that help us out? I just don't get it. They need to start figuring it out, man. They need to start figuring it out.
And, according to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, threaten national security.
Oh, and it threatens national security, too, because, that's mandatory spending. Sorry, I'm just saying. But here's Mark Milley putting his,
I think there's no doubt whatsoever that there would be a very significant negative impact on the readiness, morale, and capabilities of the United States.
On the morale? Why? They would still get their paychecks. They would still have to do what they do. Their paychecks are mandatory. I tell you, they lay it on thick.
Military, if we defaulted. But I think it would be very, very significant, without a doubt, and it would have absolutely clear, unambiguous implications in national security.
Even as negotiations continue, McCarthy prepared to let lawmakers leave Washington for a week-long holiday recess, but said they would return if needed for a vote.
Oh, okay. But they would have to all return, wouldn't they? Or at least they'd need a quorum to be able to vote for this crap. All right. Next. Now, other people are talking about it. Here's Republican Congressman Byron Donalds talking about the debt ceiling fight.
Spend another 30.
Stop. Wait a minute. He was on Meet the Press. He's becoming a popular go-to guy by the media for some reason. I'm not sure. Probably because he's really good. I like Byron Donalds. Here is Byron Donalds on with Chuck Todd, everyone's favorite media personality. Okay, wait a minute. Okay. As much as I think Chuck Todd is lame, and most people on the left hate Chuck Todd too. Nobody likes Chuck Todd. But he's still better than Brian Stelter, so that's okay. All right, here's Byron Donalds talking to Chuck Todd. Whoops. Click.
Chuck, to be blunt with you, we're not really sure what deal is even on the table. The White House is not serious. They came out with a proposal to spend another $30 billion more than they already wanted to spend.
Here's a funny thing, too, about that. They're spending more than... They want to spend more than... So here's what they did. So I think during COVID, there's massive spending. And so Biden bragged that when we had stopped having to do all the COVID spending, that he cut the deficits by X number of dollars. But his budget was still more than the prior Trump budgets. And now he wants to spend another 30 billion or whatever trillion, whatever it is, not trillion, I suppose. He wants to spend more than that budget, even because, well, they've already cut the deficit by so much. Well, that's because you're not paying for goddamn blasted COVID bullshit.
They're not taking a look at the reality of where our country is fiscally. Look, Joe Biden is saying that he's cut $1.7 trillion from the deficit, but everybody's saying that's not true. That's what he actually has done is he's $1 trillion over what CBO was projecting spending was going to be. Because after all of the COVID spending in the last year of President Trump, that Congress wasn't going to extend that, and Joe Biden did. So we're in a situation right now where the only plan in Washington has been passed by the House of Representatives. It's the only plan. Joe Biden's not serious at the negotiating table. I've talked with my colleagues who are in that room. So at this point, the question is, what's the Senate going to do? Where's Chuck Schumer in all this? Because the Senate has not done any work at all.
Where's the smarmy prick from New York?
Any work at all.
All right.
Chuck,
all right. So that's Byron Donalds, who's become one of the more impressive members of Congress, congressman from Florida. Let's see. Anything else I want to say about this? I mean, I'll give you some examples of other people talking about it. Here's the AP report. It's going to be very much like Reuters because they're basically the same shit, even though they're not. Deadline looming. Biden McCarthy narrow in on budget deal to lift debt ceiling. Okay, he gave kind of the same details. Days from the deadline, President Joe Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy are narrowing on a 2-year budget deal aiming to curb federal deficits in exchange for lifting the nation's debt ceiling and staving off an economically devastating government default. The government's not going to fall. It's the same article. But in Zero Hedge, now they have a little more interesting take on this. They seem to think that there is a breakthrough on the debt deal. This is from this morning at 8:10 a.m. I don't know, Eastern time maybe, I don't know. Breakthrough on debt deal would raise limit cap spending for 2 years, but will Freedom Caucus accept it? So could the Republican caucus, the Freedom Caucus types, would they allow this deal to go through? With the X date for potential use default now estimated June 5th, House GOP and White House negotiators appear to be settling an agreement that would raise the debt limit and cap federal spending for 2 years. Bloomberg reports, citing people familiar with the discussions. Yes, the famous people familiar with the discussions. So, that said, while the two sides have whittled down their differences over the past several days, the details are tentative and a final agreement is not yet in sight. The two sides have yet to agree on the amount of the cap. However, under the emerging agreement, defense spending would be allowed to raise 3% next year, which is in line with the president's budget request. We're making progress, and our goal is to make sure that we get a deal done because default is unacceptable. Treasury Secretary Wally Adeyemo, who warned CNN that payments to Social Security beneficiaries, veterans, and others would be delayed in the event of a default. No, they wouldn't. That's a lie. It's a requirement by law that those payments would have to be on time. They would have to cut a hell of a lot of other shit, though. I'll tell you that. Let's see. The emergency, like, for example, a lot of the little things that the federal government funds that have nothing to do with the purview of the federal government. Anyway, like research that is really weird research. The menstrual cycle of toads and shit like that. Nobody cares. Anyway, let's see. The emergency deal will also include a measure to upgrade the nation's electrical grid to be able to handle the massive requirements of renewable energy, a key goal for Democrats, while speeding up permits for pipelines and other fossil fuel projects demanded by Republicans. Oh, wow. Now, do you think the liberals are going to appreciate that? Not the liberals, the progressives. I think they're going to allow that to happen. That's interesting. Let's see. The deal would also cut $10 billion from an $80 billion increase. Now, did you see what they did there? It doesn't cut $10 billion for the IRS. It would cut $10 billion from an $80 billion increase. That's how they cut spending in Washington. You put out a budget that has an $80 billion increase, and they call a $10 billion, lowering that by $10 billion, they call that a cut. They call that a cut in spending. That is what you call congressional math. Anyway, that the Biden included in the Inflation Reduction Act. Yeah, how do you reduce inflation by spending $80 billion more dollars? I have never been able to figure that out. After the Republican warned of a wave of audits led by new agents, Democrats say the increase will pay for itself via less tax cheating. Okay, there you go. Anyway, so they go through a lot of other stuff here. So that kind of gives you the idea how it's being spun and or talked about. Okay, let's finish up this poll here. It looks like cheesecake is blueberry cheesecake's the clear winner in today's poll. For that poll, which makes me want to start a new poll. Here's the new poll. Do you think there will be a deal in place before, I'll say, what they say the deadline was, would be June 4th. Let's go June 4th. Of course, like always, duh, or no, there's your choices. Bink. There you go. It should be if it's in the YouTube chat. I can't do polls on Rumble, unfortunately, but so there you go. Do you think there'll be a deal in place? Oh, someone said no already? Oh my gosh, they're not going to let this go. Look, here's what happens every time. Some Mighty Mouse motherfucker comes in. Here I come to save the day, and they get it done at the last minute. It's all drama. The news people blame the Republicans on the whole damn thing, on brinksmanship and wanting to throw Granny down the stairs and wanting to kill all veterans, and they'll come to some sort of compromise at the last minute. All right, so let's move on to other news. And there's another one here. White House not budging on work requirements, causing an impasse in negotiations. That was actually from yesterday. So that article will be in the links. Let's go to other news, though. There's a little problem in Texas. Apparently, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, the lawmakers there have issued 20 articles of impeachment against the state attorney general. Now, this is interesting. Austin, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton teetered on the brink of impeachment Thursday after years of scandal, criminal charges, and corruption accusations that the state Republican majority had largely met with silence until now. Well, really? In a unanimous decision, A Republican-led House investigative committee that spent months quietly looking into Paxton recommended impeaching the state's top lawyer on 20 articles, including bribery, unfitness for office, and abuse of public trust. The House could vote on the recommendation as soon as Friday. If it impeaches Paxton, he would be forced to leave office immediately. So that's interesting. It's funny because I always get a kick out of Democrats. You just never, you never, treat your own badly. Well, it looks like he's going to be, looks like he's going to have Texas, a unanimous panel said he should be impeached. Now, I thought bribery was part of the job description. Well, it kind of is, but apparently he didn't do it correctly. The move sets up what could be a remarkably sudden downfall of one of the GOP's most prominent legal combatants, who in 2020 asked the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn President Joe Biden's victory. Only 2 officials in Texas, nearly 200-year history, have been impeached. Paxton has been under FBI investigation for years over accusations that he used his office to help a donor. He was separately indicted on securities fraud charges in 2013, but has yet to stand trial. When the 5-member committee investigation came to light Tuesday, Paxton suggested it would be a political attack by the House's liberal Republican Speaker, Dade Phelan. He called for Phelan's resignation, accused him of being drunk during a marathon session last Friday. Well, now, there is video of where it did appear that Phelan was drunk during the session, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, and let's see. Phelan's office brushed off the accusation as Paxton attempted to save face. Yeah, look, whether Phelan was drunk or not, it was a unanimous decision by the House panel with a majority of Republicans. So, someone says, let's see, it is a sad day for Texas as we witness the corrupt political establishment unite in this illegitimate attempt to overthrow the will of the people and disenfranchise voters of our state. Paxton said in a statement Thursday, it was unanimous, Ken. You just step the fuck down, dude. Your own party is telling you to fuck off. So perhaps you should just fuck off. I don't know much about Ken Paxton. I know he's done some good things in Texas, but he's also... he was corrupt. So anyway. Oh, that dude was totally drunk, but no law says you can't be drunk in the State House. Well, there you go. Hello, fake news expert. Yes, Jesus saves. And Gretzky gets a rebound and scores. So there you go. Bye-bye, Ted Paxton. Now, that's the AP article. Now, I don't know if Just the News would treat this any different. Looks like, oh, well, here you go. They might be using the AP article. I don't know. It looks like almost the exact same thing. An investigative committee in the Texas House of Representatives voted unanimously to adopt articles of impeachment for the state attorney general, Ken Paxton. They're just going according to Fox News. So anyway, there's a couple articles on this. These will be in the links. As you know, by the way, every story, every tweet, every video, everything that we do on the show will end up in a single link on a single page. On a little website called One Tab. It'll be a one-tab link. I'll have it in the description after the show. I will have it in the chat during the end of the show because I update it at the end of the show because sometimes I pull up new articles and I like to just do a one-stop shop. But that link will be added to the chat during the outro and in the description after the show. So if you want to find some of these articles, that'll be your reference spot. All right, let's move on. Now let's just do a roundup of other news that's going on in the world. Now, this is great. Oh, by the way, did you hear that? We'll get to Stuart Rhodes. Here, let's see. I almost forgot about Stuart Rhodes. Did I even put up a link for him? Let's see. Let's go Stuart Rhodes. Stuart Rhodes was sentenced to 18 years. He was one of the January 6th Oath Keeper guys that wasn't there, and he got sentenced to 8 years. Is that Rhodes, D-E-S? R-H-O-D-E-S. Is that right? That sounds about right. All right, we'll come back to that. Give me a second. All right. Let's get back to where it was. Oh, wait. Okay, here it is. Okay, let's get back to here. All right, here's the roundup of news. Biden DOJ drops all charges against Soros-backed attorney caught lying under oath. Now, remember when Democrats love to tell you that no one is above the law? Here's another example of people who are above the law. The U.S. Department of Justice will not charge. Now, again, I'm sorry. Did I say he who shall not be named? Oh, good God. Here we go. Here we go. I'm sorry for anything that may seem to be, what's the word? Anti-Semitic. Not intending to be anti-Semitic. I'm just reading the words on the page. Rachel Rollins, U.S. Attorney for the District of Massachusetts, resigned from her office last week after the DOJ's Office of the Inspector General found evidence that she lied to investigators about her efforts to reportedly influence an election. The OIG referred criminal charges to the DOJ, but Justice Department declined to charge her, according to the messenger. The report states that on December 16, 2022, pursuant to the Inspector General Act, blah, blah, USC 404D something, whatever, the OIG, Office of the Inspector General, referred the false statements, allegations to the Department for a prosecutive decision. Quote, we found Rollins' conduct described throughout this report violated federal regulations, numerous DOJ policies, her ethics agreement, and applicable law, and fell short of the standards of professionalism and judgment that the department should expect of any employee, much less a U.S. attorney. The DOJ said in its report the investigation found that Rollins lied under oath to investigators during the investigation into whether she had tried to influence an election for district attorney last year in Suffolk County, Massachusetts. According to the report, Rollins provided derogatory information about District Attorney Ken Hayden to Boston Globe and Boston Herald with the hope that it would help Boston City Councilman Richard Arroyo in the Democratic primary for Suffolk District Attorney in September 2022. The OIG said Rollins was able to acquire the non-public and sensitive information as a result of her federal position. So anyway, the point is, she's above the law. I'm just saying, she's above the law. She's not good. They dropped all the charges. They dropped the charges. Oh, good God. All right, moving on. Let's see, what's the next one here? Oh, bad news for Joe Biden. We'll let Jake Tapper tell you the details here, because this is more important that a menial plebe of a non-news person like me be telling you this. So I'll let Jake Tapper tell you the details. The bad news for Joe Biden. Oh boy.
Horrible news.
Horrible news.
For
Horrible.
Joe Biden in our new CNN
Horrible.
poll, while the president leads his Democratic.
Wait. I'm gonna go back. Listen to how Jake says this. I mean, it's like he's almost a little bit distraught the way he says it. Listen to this.
2024 lead. Horrible news. Horrible for Joe Biden in our new CNN poll, while the president leads his Democratic competitors by a huge margin. 2/3 of all of the American people surveyed, 66% say that a Biden victory would either be a setback or a disaster for the United States.
Goodness, that is horrible news.
At the Magic Wall. David, let's start with the state of the Democratic primary.
David, you look like you ate
noted,
David.
Anyway. Joe Biden's lead in this Democratic primary. He's at 60% among Democrats. And
now that's amazing. The President of the United States, the incumbent President of the United States, choice for nominee is only at 60%. Robert F. Kennedy, who nobody even knows him other than he sounds like a Kennedy, is at 20%. And who's that? Marianne, what's her name? Marianne Williamson at 8%, and anybody else at 8%. Holy shit.
Democratic-leaning independents in this poll, Jake. Robert Kennedy Jr. is getting 20% support inside this primary right now against an incumbent president, Marianne Williamson. You may remember
from last
8%? Time around. She's running again this cycle at 8%. 8%.
Here's what it is, okay? So 60% saw this poll, and they had some people listed, right? They had Joe Biden listed, they had Robert Kennedy Jr. listed, and they had Marianne Williamson listed, okay? Now, some people are like, oh, Robert F. Kennedy sounds like Kennedy. I'll do that. Or some people will say, Robert F. Kennedy, I've been listening to him and following him. And yeah, okay, he did okay. And he sounds good. And he's, it's a lot of people on the right also kind of like him because he's, anti-vax, whatever. And then, but Marianne Williamson, do you think 8% of people would actually want Marianne Williamson? Or do you think, here's what they saw. They saw Joe Biden. They saw Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who a lot of Democrats think is a nut job. Well, we'll just put this Marianne Williamson person. We don't know who the hell she is, but we'll just click her name because nobody remembers her from the first time she ran. And what did she run when wasn't she in the race, the Democratic race, when Obama left and there was like 77 Democratic people vying for the nomination, and she was that crazy lady in the corner that kept blurting out weird shit. She's okay. 8% in this poll wanted her. Are you kidding me? Okay, let's just continue.
You can see inside the numbers where Biden's strength is and where a potential warning sign is. If you look just at those who identify as Democrats, that's a Biden strength. Okay. He's winning 67% of them.
But the independents say, oh my goodness.
Independents and they lean Democratic.
And that's where Kennedy gets his place.
But there it's a much closer race, 40% of them for Biden, 32% for Kennedy. So Kennedy's support comes from not tried and true Democrats, but more leaners, Jake. And then take a look here. We asked, might your mind change? A slim majority, 55%, say they might change their mind. 45% say they're definitely going to support who they're with. I'll just note, Biden supporters are locked in. About 6 in 10 of them say they are committed and they're not going to change their mind.
Wait a minute. Did you hear what he just said? Did you hear what he just said? I didn't watch this before. This is a live reaction. He said Biden supporters are locked in. About 6 in 10. Wait, what? You said Biden supporters are locked in about 6 in 10? But wait a minute. Only 60% of Biden supporters even. That doesn't even make sense. Oh, my goodness.
So it's the folks that are with Williamson or Kennedy who are probably more malleable in this race.
Okay, and, David, when it comes to how voters see Joe Biden and another presidential term, I mean, those are some bad numbers.
Well, I mean, just your basic favorability, favorable opinion or unfavorable opinion of Joe Biden. Look at how Americans are rating him, Jake. I mean, 35% favorable. That is remarkably
when my son
low.
Bo was over
57%
in Iraq.
have an unfavorable rating. And look at this by party. We look from December to now. So a little tick down among Democrats, 82 to 79% favorable. That's his hometown team. But look at this decline among independents from December. 35% favorable rating in December. He's now down at 26% favorable with independents, critical voters in the electorate, Jake. That's a big one.
Okay, so you get the idea. Not good for Joe Biden. Joe Biden, with you, I'm not riding. The country, dividing. Anyway, why you always lying? Joe Biden. Okay, so anyway, that's that. Let's move on. I almost forgot. This is great. I got it. I almost forgot. This is very special. Very, very special. Something that was trending on Twitter this morning. Amy Schumer is trending. Amy Schumer is trending here. Let's see one of these too. No, seriously, Amy Schumer was trending on Twitter this morning. Now, I don't really know why. Oh, I know why. Okay, and I'll show you. And hopefully I don't get any. Okay, I'm going to scroll slowly. Okay, here we go. So somebody said, someone put a top 10 funniest comedians of all time. Okay, now wait till you see this list. This is amazing. This is an amazing list. This is a top 10. I don't even know who did this. Who was crazy enough to do this? Top 10 comedians of all time, according to Bard. I don't know what Bard is. Maybe it's just some numbskull. So they got George Carlin at number 1. Yeah, he's. I would say he would be in somewhere in those top 3. I mean, he's good and timeless and whatnot. Richard Pryor, great comedian and one of the funniest men in the world back in the day. Yep, he should be up there. Dave Chappelle, who is a genius, and I know some people don't like him anymore, but he's still a genius of a comedian and funny. Robin Williams, man, I could see Robin Williams being in there somewhere, especially his stand-up days. He was brilliant, right? Louis C.K., I don't know, maybe. I'm not so familiar with his work. Jerry Seinfeld, funny guy. Chris Rock? Chris Rock is dull. And then they got Amy Schumer there, just ahead of Kevin Hart and Jim Gaffigan. Now, there is someone conspicuously missing off this list who I think during his stand-up days was as funny as just about anybody ever. And that might be a guy that I know he's not as well known as the rest of them, but Eddie Murphy was a pretty good stand-up comedian back in the day. I don't know. There's also, there's a lot of funny guys. Sam Kinnison's missing. There's, I think, who's the guy with the bald guy with the mustache? That now he just mostly does weird talk shows and Family Feud. That guy, he's actually a very funny comedian. I've seen him live. He's funny as hell in his live stand-up show. But who's Amy Schumer? I mean, she's not even the funniest woman of all time. I'd put Carol Burnett in there, and she's not a stand-up necessarily, but she was funny as hell. I'd put there were definitely funnier comedians. Amy, how she got on this list? Anyway, and so Steve Harvey. I think Steve Harvey's funny as hell. Patrice. Yes, Patrice. O'Neill. Oh, he's funny. He is funny. So now, come on, Andrew Dice Clay. No, he does not belong there. Andrew Dice Clay is funny, but he's certainly a niche type of comedian. You know what I mean? Same thing with Norm Macdonald, who was also funny. Nick Apollo's hilarious. There's a lot of funny comedians. There's a lot of people funnier than Amy Schumer, though. Plenty. Roseanne Barr was funny back in the day. Oh my gosh, she was funny back in the day. So anyway, so I think that the only reason she's trending is people just were unloading on this list as being as about as ridiculous as it could possibly be. Rod Wyatt, Eddie Murphy, Louis Black. I'm not sure who Louis Black is. Sarah Silverman. Sarah Silverman and Amy Schumer can have a not funny off, and it probably wouldn't end. Yeah, there's I'm going to be honest, and this is maybe guilty pleasure. I think Sarah Silverman used to be funny at one point. She had her day when she was actually funny. Ellen DeGeneres was a pretty good stand-up comedian when she did it, although her shtick got old quickly. I think Rita Rudner, she was pretty funny. I always thought there's a few really good stand-up women comedians. In fact, tell me who your favorite female comedian, even though women aren't funny. Sorry, whoever gets sensitive about that. There are certainly a few female comedians that I would put in front of Amy Schumer any day. Amy Schumer's best shtick is that her nether regions smell like a barnyard, and that, some people find that funny. I don't want to hear about her nether regions. Okay, let's move on. Stuart Rhodes is trending now. This is what I was going to talk about earlier. Stuart Rhodes got sentenced to 18 years in federal prison for this so-called seditious conspiracy, right? The seditious conspiracy for the January 6th thing now, because he's a Oath Keeper type guy, right? For whatever reason, oh my gosh, and now they're saying people think that these people in the House of Representatives are going to go to jail too. Yeah, don't bet on it. Breaking news: Oath Keepers leader Stuart Rhodes will serve 18 years in prison for seditious conspiracy. They haven't, I can't find any of the articles on it, but 18 years for inciting the crowd at the Capitol, even though he never entered the building. Which, remember, there's a guy named Ray Epps who was telling people to enter the building, right? This is crazy, if you ask me. Now, there are people talking about it. Clearly, Julie Kelly, who has been on this whole thing, has been talking a lot about it. So he got 18 years for not going in the building, right? I wish I had the thing what the judge said, but I can't find it. But the judge was nuts on this. But in light of today's 18-year prison sentence for a guy who said scary things in group chats, basically that's what they got him on, because he said some things in group chats. He never went in the Capitol building. He was there. They were basically the Oath Keepers were there. The purpose of them being there, and they said it in some of these group chats, was they were expecting typical anti-protesters or counter-protesters, right? They were expecting Antifa and all these jackasses that come in to these events. But that was the thing. I remember very distinctly on that day of January 6th, there was going to be the rally, right? Trump was having his rally. Then he had a place by the Capitol that they had a place reserved. So they were going to move the rally from wherever they were, the Ellipse place, and they were going to move it over to the Capitol and it was just to be a rally, a protest rally, right? And obviously before the speeches were over, there was the group led by Ray Epps, who broke through a different barrier that was more direct from where they would walk to the Capitol. So all the people end up going through where that barrier is rather than the place they had reserved, because no one knows. They're all walking over there. They don't know for sure. In fact, the way the barriers were set up, they're set up so if you went around the barriers, they would have been in the place that they had reserved. But they ended up going straight to the Capitol, right? And I remember that day when we were watching this on live. You know, people were live streaming all this stuff. And there were reports that there were government officials who were stopping people in cars who were Antifa types, right? And telling them to go away. Now, I don't know if any of you remember this, but I distinctly remember this. So I'm like, wait a minute. Why are they stopping all the people, the Antifa types, to go away? And I was thinking, this sounds like a setup. They don't want them there because they don't want them doing the counter-protest bullshit and having these people, end up clashing with them. This was a setup. It is so wild that when I remember that now, but I do distinctly remember that there were van loads of people that they were taking out or stopping and telling them, nope, do not go to the Capitol, to where these rallies are. And I got a feeling that they were telling him, hey, nah, you don't need to do this. We got this handled. Well, we got something for their ass. So anyway, so Julie Kelly came out yesterday and said, in light of the 18-year prison sentence for a guy who said scary things in group chats, let's see what other sentences are being handed down in the nation's capital. So here she found an example, and she put links to all these. 6 years for a career criminal who stabs a stranger midday outside Student Union Station. 6 years. Here's one, 11 years for a monster who shared live nude photos of his 2-year-old female relative. He got 11 years, not 18. Here's one, not even 4 years for a stalker who has sexually assaulted a woman. 10-year sentence for repeated armed carjacker who sent police on a wild chase, but sentence reduced to 8 years under the Youth Rehabilitation Act. The criminal was 20. And there you go. To 18 years for murder. A district man sentenced for killing a man near Mount Vernon Square Metro got 18 years. Oh my God. And Stuart Rhodes, who stood outside the Capitol and might have said some mean words in a group chat, got 18 years. So anyway, now here's what Stuart Rhodes said. And someone who was following or at the sentencing, reporting on it. Here's Stuart Rhodes' statement. Stuart Rhodes rises to say he is a political prisoner and that this is an ongoing process to shut down political speech. He makes the point that many of those in other protests, like Antifa, right? Hello, Richo, what's up? Nice to see you. Antifa, who made open attempts to interrupt the transfer of power to the Trump administration, were never prosecuted for their words or violent actions. Rhodes describes, by the way, why isn't Madonna going to jail? Remember Madonna when she had a rally and said something about blowing up the White House, which is absolutely wrong. Okay. Remember that in 2000, when the inauguration 2017, she didn't go to jail. Okay. Rhodes describes why Oath Keepers provided escorts and security at many political rallies across the country because left-wing protesters and Antifa were violently assaulting peaceful protesters. He makes the point that hundreds of events. Selected boy, what's up? I just saw you here too. Where's that thing? There it is.
Yeah, boy.
He makes the point that at hundreds of events, the Oath Keepers never used violence or force to deter violence or were never charged with any crimes at any other events. They wore body armor because Antifa throws bricks, frozen water bottles, and used knives. On January 6th, he did not go inside the Capitol like Ray Epps told everybody to. That's my own aside. And had just spoken that morning at a Latinos for Trump rally and was then going to be at another event on the Capitol grounds in Area 8, the area they had reserved, as permitted by the U.S. Capitol Police. Now, he was trying to find the people who were not still on task doing security after all hell had broken loose. He makes the point that he always puts a retired police officer as the operational leader for all events, as he did with Michael Green that day. When the riots began, Rhodes began trying to get all the Oath Keepers to come to me to prevent any problems in the chaos. As is consistent with their behavior across hundreds of events across the country, they did not assault anyone or do any property damage. He makes the point that despite the obvious trauma officers experienced on January 6th, none of his guys were responsible for any of their injuries and finds it offensive those were the implications in yesterday's impact statements, because the judge himself said something about, they were coming armed and blah, blah, blah. Nobody had arms. Except for the ones that are attached to their bodies. He finds the entire experience surreal, then goes on to describe the difference between the actual violent offenders and the Oath Keepers is only because the government despises the facts they could stop violent behavior at other protests by peaceful means, and the government does not like that. He considers all January 6ers to be political prisoners because they are all grossly overcharged, but the Oath Keepers are being treated more harshly as examples, specifically because they are Oath Keepers. And the government doesn't want that. And then he concluded by justifying his assertion that the 2020 election was unconstitutional by means of the fact that state legislatures violated the Constitution under lockdown measures. Rhodes continues by saying, regardless of how long he is sentenced, he plans to be an American while in prison, spending his time exposing the corruption of the government and this process. And then the judge called for a short break after that. So that's what he said prior to the judge handing on the sentence. Now, the judge made it sound like the Oath Keepers planned this little riot at the Capitol. It was awful. It was awful. And I don't have that verbiage with me. All right, I'm going to move on because I got running out of time here. Remember that that physician who said that some 10-year-old girl, victim of a assault of sexual nature, had to go to Indiana to have an abortion, and they found out later that the girl was sexually assaulted. She didn't mention that part. Well, that doctor is being disciplined in Indiana. Now, let me show you how the Washington Post begins their tweet thread for this, because there's something a little deceptive about this, that people who don't read entire tweet threads or full headlines, because I'm going to show you the headline too. Indiana's Medical Licensing Board decided late Thursday night to discipline a doctor who made headlines last year for performing an abortion on a 10-year-old Ohio rape victim. The doctor was ordered to pay a $3,000 fine. Now, if you read that, just that, and I'm sure the comments in this thread from other people would probably reflect the idea that, oh my God, they fined her for doing an abortion on 10-year-old, blah, 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 blah. No. That's not why she got fined. It's not why she got fined. In fact, here it is. Here's the headline from the Washington Post. Doctor in 10-year-old rape victim's abortion could lose license. Oh, my goodness. How appalling, right? Not for that. Indiana's Medical License Board will determine as soon as Thursday whether to take any disciplinary actions against a doctor who made headlines last year for performing an abortion on a 10-year-old Ohio rape victim after the state's anti-abortion attorney general alleged the doctor violated ethical standards and state reporting laws. Wait a minute. Indiana's Republican attorney general. Now, it's funny that because it matters that's a Republican, right? Indiana's Republican attorney general Todd Rokita for nearly a year had pursued punishment for Caitlin Bernard, an OB/GYN and assistant professor at Indiana University School of Medicine who performed the abortion on June 2022, less than a week after Roe versus Wade was struck down, enacting trigger laws. Now, again, first of all, the girl could have had the procedure done in Ohio under Ohio law. The stakes of Thursday's hearing are significant for Bernard, whose lawyers have refuted Rokita's allegations as baseless and politically motivated. The 7-member board of governor appointees can, by a majority vote, either take no action against Bernard or impose a range of disciplinary measures up to and including immediate termination of Bernard's medical license. Now, notice they haven't said why yet. You've got 3 paragraphs deep into this Washington Post article, and they still haven't told you why. They hinted at reporting laws, ethical standards, but they didn't tell you why. Well, Rokita alleges Bernard broke state child abuse reporting laws and federal patient privacy laws by telling an Indianapolis Star reporter about the patient's care. Oh, wait a minute. Was she not supposed to report the rape of a child? Was she supposed to tell a newspaper about this girl's medical things, even though it didn't do it by name? Now, Bernard's lawyers said she properly reported the incident to an IU health social worker. Well, an IU health social worker, that's not the reporting law, and did not run afoul of privacy laws when she discussed the patient's case in a general and de-identified manner that is typical for doctors. Records obtained by the Washington Post last year showed that Bernard reported the girl's abortion to the relevant state agencies ahead of the legally mandated deadline. Oh, did she now? Corey Voigt, an attorney with Rokita's office, framed Bernard's action as undermining trust in medical professionals and medical privacy and accused her of being brazen in pursuit of her own agenda. She's an activist, not just a doctor. She's an activist. So anyway, they're saying that she broke Indiana law, and the Washington Post didn't mention that part, but there's 5 or 6 paragraphs in. Isn't that special? Now, if you go to Just the News, which is a right-wing, is that a source? I wouldn't say, well, is you consider John Solomon right-wing? I mean, it's more right of center. Let's put it that way. Now, they say Indiana doctor reprimanded for telling the press details of performing an abortion on a 10-year-old. So that's exactly what she's reprimanded for. That's interesting that this headline is so different from this headline. And it's intentional. Okay, here's how they start the article. The Indiana State Medical Licensing Board has reprimanded an Indianapolis doctor who shared details with the news media about a performed abortion on a 10-year-old rape victim. The board voted earlier this week to fine Dr. Caitlin Bernard $3,000, saying her sharing of the details violated privacy laws. Okay, that's a whole different thing. And then also not reporting the child abuse to the authorities. So it's interesting how 2 different outlets will treat the same story. Moving on. Also, this is a good thread about a 24. Now, this is another one because abortion policies are really strange. This one, a 24-year-old woman in Alabama was arrested and charged with felony after she suffered a stillbirth. We told y'all this would be the consequences of abortion bans. Now, so they're making it sound like she was arrested because she had just a natural old simple stillbirth, right? Hello, Reacción Puerto Rico. oh, she had a stillbirth. They charged her for an abortion, right? Not so fast. And she goes on and tells a couple other lines about this, but she doesn't have now. Then she says in the next tweet, you folks got to make up your mind. She's a criminal if she gets an abortion. She's a criminal if she delivers. Drug use is not okay, but don't pretend treatment is readily available. Another woman had her child taken from her after epilepsy meds caused a miscarriage. Now. The good question, Avocados Diablo. Did she cause the stillbirth? She was charged because here's the most important fact. She was arrested because the baby died from a drug overdose. She was a drug addict and the baby was stillborn because of it. It has zero to do with abortion laws. In fact, she was high on meth. She was on meth and it killed her child. That's why she's being arrested. Has nothing to do with abortion laws. So it's interesting how people are going to spin certain things. Is this the article too? No, we're going to move on. Target lost $9 billion in the week following boycott calls over the LGBTQ-friendly kids' clothing. Now, this is an interesting thing going on because a whole lot of people talking about this in different matters. This is a New York Post version. New York Post editorially is more on the right than other newspapers. Target lost $9 billion in market value since angry social media users called for a boycott of the Minneapolis-based retailer over its rollout of Pride collection featuring LGBTQ-friendly clothing for children. Yes. See. So narcissistic parents who want to show their virtue, they can have a range of LGBTQ-friendly clothing for their children, as well as here's the other part. They claim that this is not true, but they had some tuck-friendly swimwear for children, as in tuck your junk because you whatever. So a week ago Wednesday, before the controversy erupted, Target stock closed at $160.96 a share, giving the box store a market capitalization of $74 billion. As of early trading Thursday, however, shares of the company were trading off 1% at $141.76, capping a week-long tumble that has shrunk the cheap chic discount retailer to $65.3 billion. Now 1% drop is, I guess, not normal, but it's also not the worst drop. But this amounts to a 12% drop in market share, whopping $9 billion off the company's market capitalization. So this story has been flying around. Oops, that's not the one I wanted. And so there's articles now. Here's NBC News, how major brands were forced into the conservative plan to target LGBTQ people. Now, you know what's funny about this? Because this is the headline from NBC, right? Conservative plan to target LGBTQ people. Do you think that's really what it is? Are they targeting LGBTQ people? Or are they just saying, hey, maybe, just lay off the sexual stuff for our kids, right? Because that's really the controversy. We kind of reconciled with the idea of gay marriage and gay people, blah, 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 blah. But it's the T and Q in that equation that seems to just be wanting to go farther and farther and farther, right? So they go on. Target, Bud Light, the Dodgers, and Disney has all been backed into a corner over their support over the LGBTQ community. No, Tucker Tuesday. Stop it. And the strategy has conservatives activists celebrating. Well, maybe you're just going too far. Because see, Target originally were putting these displays of like we talked about the Satan worshiper who was one of their designers who had like Satan loves pronouns and shit like that. I mean, they're just stupid shit that they like. Why are you doing this and why are you putting it in Target? First of all, Target, wholesome family, whatever. Hello, Evan S. And so Target has decided to move some of those displays to the back of the stores instead of the entry points, because they had them displays all over in the entry points starting for Pride Month, right? But now they're moving it back. Well, a lot of the people, the funny thing is, they do this because they get a backlash from the conservatives who just will stop shopping there. But then they try to appease the conservatives, and then the LGBTQ lobby, the people who want the stuff for kids, right? Because not all LGBT people, or not even the T and the Qs, not all of them think this is appropriate for kids, but the activists really think they wanted this, to get kids into this so they can start them early, right? So they get the backlash from the LGBTQ people and lose even more, and that's what's happening to Bud Light. Bud Light, who's down 28% now on sales, 28%, more than a quarter of their sales are gone. They're sending expired beer. They're buying back expired beer and destroying it. Some places are giving away their Bud Light. They're just doing it at 100% discount. Get this and you get a case of Bud Light. Buy a Mars bar and we'll just give you a case of Bud Light. It's really damaging that brand because, look, let's be honest. People who drink Bud Light are usually well, never mind. I was gonna say something racial there, but you're basically just normal old white guys drink Bud Light and some white girls, and they're just like, what the fuck? This is not a big thing about because the gay people are drinking apple teenies and shit. So the Bud Light, the beer drinkers are the ones who just are normal, everyday people, and they're like, "Well, fuck this! I don't want this shit. I'm dealing with Bud Light and thinking I'm a trans and shit." So anyway, and Target, that's kind of a family shopping place, and all of a sudden you walk in and there's some tuck, friendly swimsuits for 8-year-olds. Well, I'm not buying I don't even want to see a tuck friendly suit for my 8-year-olds. I don't want my 8-year-olds to even know about that shit. So anyway, this headline, obviously NBC is just apoplectic. Oh, the brands were forced to do a conservative plan to target LGBTQ people. No, not to target LGBTQ people, just to tell them to stop fucking with their kids. Let kids grow up and be themselves, and if they turn out that way, that's fine, but don't just bring it to them younger and younger and younger, because you're causing mental health issues in every country you do this bullshit in. And the crisis that you're going to have in maybe 5 years at most, you're going to have a mental health crisis among youth that you will not understand what happened. We'll be like, hey, fuckers, we told you so. So anyway, more about this, though. Let's see. And then, so I got this thread. I don't have time for this one. It's a great thread, though. Someone named Josh or Champagne Joshi or whatever. In case anyone is still under the illusion that Pride Month is anything other than a corporate money grab, consider this. The LGBTQ plus community is considered the fastest growing minority segment in the U.S. with an estimated $1.4 trillion in annual spending. Well, look, gays and lesbians have always been a big a large spending whatever community, right? They've always been. I mean, most are double income, no kids. If they're in a relationship, that's generally when you have double income, no kids, you can buy a lot of shit and spend a lot of money. So ultimately, this is about obtaining market share, not corporate kindness. I think what we're seeing now is that people have had enough of the clear agenda pushing. It has been building up for over the last 10 years or so, and for the most part has been accepted. However, there's now a clear trend to market sexuality to children. And for me, most everyone else in society, that's a red line. Even among the LGBTQ people, that's a red line. Businesses who market sexuality to children need to be called out and boycotted, full stop. I challenge anyone to rationalize how it's okay to explicitly promote a form of sexuality to kids via clothing, toys, or any other medium, especially when it's done with colorful rainbows and presented as if it's benign. It's not benign. It's gross. I can't believe I have to point this out, but kids don't have sexual preferences because they are not sexually mature and haven't developed enough grasp what any of these identities actually mean. That's why you don't transition them yet. So why then do businesses find it acceptable to make products for children promoting sexual lifestyles? Just because there is a rainbow or a cliche phrase doesn't change the underlying meaning. With that, let's have a look at some brands that market sexual preferences to children. So they go through this list. Disney is one of them. Disney's cute onesies celebrating pride on your newborn has never been easier or fabulous. Speaking of fabulous, how about a Miss Piggy Fierce and Fab, or perhaps a gay Minnie Mouse plushie for the toddler? That, you know, they make this shit for the parents, right? Or for the gay parents, I guess. I don't know. Or the virtue signaling parents. Converse and Vans joined the sexuality slumber party with their Chuck Taylor All-Stars and old school pride shoes for little kids. Great. Not to be outdone, Doc Martin released these shit kickers for the gay toddler in your life. Way to go, Doc Martin. But wait, there's more. Amazon has a brand store on its site called TATY, kids who want your baby and toddler to have pride and love who they love. Because what says pride more than when they can't even talk or understand words yet? There's nothing better than using your kid to show, to satisfy your own psychopathologies. And this thread goes on and on. Disney, Converse, Doc Martens, Amazon. Why are your brands promoting sexual identities to children? If we want things to change, hit them where it hurts. Their stock price. Hear, hear. So, I'm kind of out of time, so we're going to go through the rest of this really quickly. There's a video of this woman named Sarah Perry who's going through Target store to see the extent of their pride merchandise. Definitely want to watch this video. What we found is Target is very much in the business of promoting gender confusion and grooming children. The verdict? Avoid shopping at Target. And one of the things she walked in, so this stuff is clothes for kids. Trans people all exist. Swimsuits that are tuck friendly. Swimsuits that are appropriate for all gender expressions. You know what I mean? And she just goes, it's a 5-minute video. You can watch that one on your own. It's pretty good. I have actually seen this one. So, and then this is a great thread by a woman who detransitioned, who has a thread that says, why wouldn't a young girl want to be trans? Here's 18 reasons why it's only reasonable to adopt a trans identity if you're a young girl. And basically she gets into some of the reasons that you see a lot of young girls doing it. For example, let's just go through a couple of these. You get to be a cool outsider and gain social status. You feel special because you have secret knowledge about life, because you have a deep understanding of gender. You get to write off your flaws in favor of now being on a path to becoming a new person. You get to take the hippest current drug, testosterone, which increases confidence, energy, libido, and gives you an edge. You're fulfilling your developmental stage's purpose of rebellion against the patriarchy, parents, tradition, and outdated social norms. Yay! You have the common enemy against bigots, Nazis, conservatives, and all manner of the worst people. You have a purpose nestled in the process of transition steps, goal after goal to achieve, which gives you dopamine as a reward while in pursuit, always striving more. You get to throw away your old self and you that has flaws, shame, insecurity, pain, and vulnerability in favor of a fantasy version of yourself. You believe you escaped female oppression, sexual assault, unwanted advances, abuse, mistreatment, judgment, and misogyny. You can feed yourself intellectually with queer theory, gender ideology, customizing and personalizing your identity labels as you desire, and you can change them at any time, suiting creativity. You feel free to express yourself aesthetically and with androgynous fashion. You can hide from adult responsibilities and develop deeper, meaningful experiences with abstractions, histrionics over perceived maltreatment, or avoid socialization with the excuse of living in a transphobic society. Any judgment from others can be excused as bigotry. Yeah, it's the greatest shield for all the weird kids, right? Weird kids. I saw this dude the other day. We were at a restaurant and just this, it was, the dude who would normally be the, in my day, he'd be the burnout over on the foreside of the school, or school had four sides, and the burnouts all hung out on the foreside. And this dude it was just a weird looking dude, but he was wearing a dress or skirt and lace stockings and Doc Martens and whatever, and clearly saying, "Oh, I'm trans," right? Guess what? And I thought to myself, wow, that was just one of the weird kids who probably in my day would just grow up and be, a scientist in a lab or some shit. But he had an automatic shield because he could claim to be trans. And so you can no longer criticize him for anything without being called a bigot. And that might be the most obnoxious appeal for this movement, is that you get to be a victim and you have a shield against any and all criticism, because now you are the most protected class. And so I can understand the appeal, especially for young girls going through, during those middle school years, you're going through the weird stage with the pimples and the puberty and the weird things going on, and you're already uncomfortable with yourself. And this is just a way to make everyone back the fuck off, because now I'm trans. You can't say anything. And now I get to be one of the cool kids, because the teachers all love me and think I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. Oh, the teachers praise me. How can this not be appealing, particularly to middle school girls? And that's why you're seeing it grow in droves. Hello, Swirly. What's up? Let's see. Here's another one. You can feel a sense of accomplishment, pride, and even superiority over others because of reaching your continuous transition goals, and even being enlightened enough to conclude with the trans to begin with, a way to feel competence and fight shame or insecurity. You can not only customize your identity, flags, pronouns, and fashion, but also your body through extreme body modifications, rituals like surgeries, which give you a sense of creativity and control over your situation in life, similar to dyeing your hair after a breakup. You can feel accepted, seen, heard, and valued because of the vast commercialization of trans inclusion, including the media representation and goods available for purchase. It feels like the world's finally giving you your moment of glory and celebrating your unique self. Well, it's not so unique anymore. And then the last one, she said, you can feel like you are maturing, growing, healing, or becoming an adult through transition steps, or understanding deeply while you may then feel self-allowance to neglect maturing in other ways, or actually just growing up, healing, and evolving through life in new ways. So it's a great thread. I'll leave that in there. Stuff I'm not getting to. National Cycling Organization has banned men from racing competitively against women. So now the cycling world is no longer going to allow, let's just say males or men in the old school linguistic version of my language, the dialect that I speak. When I say men, that means males, not just, people who call themselves men. The cycling worlds especially Britain are no longer going to allow men to cycle against women, because it's funny because they've been winning a couple of the competitions, but it shouldn't be just because they're winning. It's just because they displace one woman. I don't care if there's 500 in a race and a male comes in 499th. That means the 501 didn't qualify because a male took that woman out of the race. It doesn't matter if they win. They're displacing somebody, mediocre males versus elite women athletes. So there. There's another thread I had here, but I didn't get there. We've long said if you replace the word turf with the word woman, you see what trans activism really is. And when you replace the word trans women with the word men, the same revelation applies. So here's one example, and then you can read the rest yourself. So replacing the word trans woman with men and the word turf with women. Here's one example. Men who want to be allowed inside women's rape shelters where the women are trying to heal from male violence. Men who have committed crimes, including serious sex offenses against women and children, want to be in women prisons. Okay, that was 2 examples. He has a whole list of them here. You can go through that one. Also, not getting to this thread. This is a speech by Vladimir Putin. It's an interesting speech from a couple years ago, but I'm not a fan of Vladimir Putin, but this one speech that he did, I'll just say Putin was right. And you'll have to watch it or listen to it yourself. And then finally, apparently at high school, just here's a good headline. This is a one you got to read too. At high school debates, debate is no longer allowed. At national tournaments, judges are making their stances clear. Students who argue capitalism can reduce poverty or Israel has a right to defend itself will lose. No question asked. So they're kind of changing the structures, not changing the structure, but what's happening now is there's debate used to have judges that basically centered on how good arguments you made or how you present your material, regardless of what the subject matter is. There's some ideological judges who are now saying, well, I'm not going to allow someone to make this argument. It'll be an automatic loss. And it's sad because it doesn't teach kids how to learn other people's arguments. It doesn't teach them how to steel man someone else's argument. And it's a great article, and but it's a very scary and unfortunate article, and can also explain some of the ways that educators are indoctrinating your kids in the real world. And on that note, I got to go. So I hope every one of you in the States, at least, has a wonderful Memorial Day weekend and just a regular weekend for the rest of you. Thanks for joining me this week on the Morning Night Live. I'm here Monday through Friday, as you know, around 10 o'clock Eastern. Programming note, I will not be here this coming Monday because I will be gone somewhere driving back from Michigan, and we're going to take probably 15 to 18 hours to drive back because we're sightseeing different spots along the way. So I will be back here Tuesday, and thank you very much for joining me today. Thanks for our sponsors today. Tall Person, that's it today. And I didn't thank Tyre Alexander yesterday, so thank you for sponsoring the show. We'll see you Tuesday. I hope you have a great weekend. My name is P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Hey, this is P-Dog Knight, and thanks for watching today on the P-Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.